WAFF 48 News Weekends. With Drew Hadwell, Pam Carlton's weather, and Jeff Rhodes Sports.
Good evening to you. Drew Hadwell has the night off. I'm Phil Schmidt. Some families who own homes along the South Carolina beach still haven't been allowed to see their homes. Now you can imagine waiting and wondering if there's anything left after Hurricane Hugo. Ann Rubenstein reports what happened today when one man decided he'd had enough and would risk defying martial law.
Hugo hit hard on Isle of Palms. It's an affluent area which was known for its beautiful resorts. Residents who live there have been kept away and ordered to stay out. The only way to get there is the bridge, and that's out. And today, Tom Sanders ran out of patience. He set out in a boat and headed toward home. Sanders has no idea if his house survived. He got to the island, but didn't get very far.
No, if I can't let y'all go no farther, it's martial law.
The armed patrols have been on Isle of Palms since Friday. Authorities say the storm damage is so severe the area is unsafe. They tried to explain it to Sanders.
We're ready to let everybody go back to their house tomorrow. All I can ask you is please give us one more day. There's propane tanks leaking. We have a lot of really dangerous situations here. We need one more day.
But Tom Sanders was determined to see his home, and the guards were determined to stop him.
We'll take whatever force necessary to stop you from getting on this island.
Come on, shoot my ass.
Put him down. Put him down. Put him down.
Sanders wrestled with them, but he lost. He was arrested and voted off to jail. Isle of Palms Mayor Carmen Bunch defended the troops and said residents have been clearly warned.
The governor of this state last night gave an executive orders asking the people not to come with boats over here.
Other Isle of Palms residents, angry over the situation, met today.
I talked to a neighbor that lives 4 houses away from me. He said that, he walked down my street. He had to climb over and under trees to get there, but he said the house is intact. There's no reason we shouldn't go over there, clean it up, and get back to normal.
In the middle of this crisis, the Isle of Palms police chief resigned. Officials have now agreed to allow residents on the island for a short time tomorrow to get a look at their property. Ann Rubenstein, NBC News, Charleston, South Carolina.
Officials want to be sure that damaged propane tanks won't explode before letting the residents return tomorrow. At Cape Canaveral, NASA engineers sit in the control room preparing for their last launch of an Atlas Centaur rocket. At 3 a.m., it will blast off carrying a military communications satellite into orbit. The satellite allows Navy fighter pilots to talk with Navy ships and submarines. After this launch, the company that builds Centaur rockets, General Dynamics, will improve the rocket and launch payloads next year on their own. It's all part of a move to pull private companies into the space launch business. If you're a NASA employee at the Marshall Space Flight Center and you normally drive through Gate 9, we've got a very important traffic update for you. Now, all weekend, construction crews hustled laying down asphalt for a new entrance from Highway 20. So if you come either east or west on Highway 20, the new entrance to Gate 9 sits just east of the Rideout Road overpass. Construction foreman Joe Parker says the road will be open first thing Monday morning. Now, once again, you can drive into Redstone Arsenal Gate 9 on a new entrance that's from Highway 20. All you have to do is turn off Highway 20 just east of the Rideout Road overpass. 2 of the 3 men who escaped from the Madison County Jail Annex on Wheeler Avenue are back behind bars tonight. But this man, 24-year-old Curtis Earl Tanner, is still at large. Tanner escaped early yesterday from the jail annex. Now, he was serving a 1-year sentence for assault, burglary, receiving stolen property, and theft. Investigators have been searching for the inmate, but so far, they've been unable to catch him. Larry Wilson joins us with some weather update for us. What's happening out there weather-wise?
Well, a lot of changes in the forecast. I mean, it's been cool for the last couple of days, but that's not the newest weather feature for us. I mean, we have a high-pressure system that's been influencing our weather for the last couple of days, but that's starting to change. We'll have more about the weather in just a minute. As we take a look at our stats out right now, we have a now reading of 61 after a low this morning of 46. It did manage to reach up to around 68 this afternoon, and our humidity is around 65%. We have a dew point at 49 degrees, and winds are out of the east at 8 miles per hour, and we have a steady barometer. More in just a minute. Well, temperatures across the state today were about 10 to 20 degrees cooler than normal. I'll show you on our radar. Let's take a look. this area right here doesn't actually represent clouds, but represents cold air across the Tennessee Valley. And as you can see, it comes from roughly north Mississippi into Alabama, and that's why we had temperatures so cool last night. As you take a look at satellite over the last few hours, this low pressure system located in the Gulf is starting to bring up a lot of moisture from the Gulf, and that's why we've seen so many clouds this afternoon and rain across southern and central Alabama. Let's take a look at radar. See that rain extending from roughly Birmingham back down into Mobile. And it's going to be here for the next couple of days, and that's our big weather feature to talk about for the next couple of days. That low pressure system, along with the high pressure located now around New York, is influencing our weather. We're getting a combination of cold air and a lot of moisture, which will continue to produce some rain in some areas around the Tennessee Valley this evening. As we take a look at temperatures, today Tuscaloosa checked in as our hot spot at 75 degrees under a lot of cloud cover. Overnight last night, Pinson was our cool spot at 44 degrees, and for us tonight we'll be roughly about where we were last night, a few degrees warmer, real close to 60 degrees, around 59-degree mark or so. As we take a look at our nowcast, we have mostly cloudy skies with rain starting to move in late tonight that will remain with us through the beginning of the work week. We have winds out of the northeast at 10 to 15 miles an hour. Now, as we take a look at the big picture, most of the country was under clear skies today. Very nice, a few fallish type temperatures up into the Ohio Valley, but most of the weather activity was right around our neck of the woods. A lot of cloud cover coming up from that low pressure system in the Gulf and influencing a lot of weather activity in Florida this evening. Jacksonville, Florida, since Friday night has had over 11 inches of rain and having a lot of problems with flooding in that part of the country. And a little bit further south, Lehigh, Florida, checked in, had a tornado late this afternoon as a result of a lot of wind gusts coming in from that low pressure system located down in the Gulf. Up to the north in the Ohio Valley, they're having some freeze warnings this evening because of that cold air that was coming in to northern Alabama last night. High pressure system has started to move on to the east and will give them some cooler temperatures for the next couple of days. Now, as we take a look at our map for tomorrow, that low pressure system and that stationary front will stay to our south and continue to bring up a lot of moisture and give us some rain for the first couple of days of the week. Taking a look at our forecast, we have clouds with periods of rain tomorrow. It's not going to be a good beginning to the work week. We're going to have winds out of the east at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Our high for tomorrow will be around 66 degrees as we dip down to a low tomorrow night about 58. Sunrise will come at 6:36 tomorrow morning and sunset around 6:39. The remainder of the week we'll have temperatures slowly rising during the day and slowly cooling during the night. So it's going to be an unusual combination. We're going to have a little bit warmer temperatures during the day. It's just going to be a few degrees cooler at night. But it's going to remain like a fallish type pattern for the next couple of days.
You know, taking a look at the map that you were seeing, we really lucked out without getting a lot of rain the last few days because Florida's been drenched
since Friday.
Birmingham area south, but it's been real cloudy here. And
now it's our turn. We're going to start getting rain in the next couple of days.
Thanks very much, Larry. Appreciate it. When we come back, President Bush prepares to address the United Nations, and Humana Hospital administrators clean up after a fire this morning. President Bush is listing drugs, terrorism, and the environment as major concerns that deserve worldwide attention. The president is putting the final touches on a speech he'll deliver at the United Nations. Now, aides say Bush will call for international cooperation on drugs, terrorism, and the environment, and also make a major pitch about chemical weapons. Tomorrow's address will be Bush's first speech to the UN as President of the United States. The owners of a gun shop near Birmingham say they want to end their lawsuit against the federal government over the seizure of more than 1,200 semi-automatic rifles. Now, the guns look much like these were impounded 6 months ago at the Birmingham airport before they made it to the Trussville, Alabama gun shop. Officials from the gun shop incorporated say they will sell the Australian rifles only to police officers if they are allowed to take possession of the weapons. The proposal was made last week in an attempt to settle the gun seizure suit with the federal government. City and county leaders will present plans for a new jail in Madison County. Pressure to tackle the jail space problem came after prisoners had to be let go from the Madison County lockup this week. That's just one of the stories West Terrain reports in our Newsweek in Review.
Tuesday was a lucky day for about 15 Madison County prisoners as they were given their walking papers. Madison County Sheriff Joe Patterson released the inmates to reduce overcrowding. Efforts are underway to expand the Wheeler Avenue Annex, but that won't be ready until next month. County commissioners say overwhelming growth in Madison County is causing the overcrowding problem. But until new space is made, more prisoners may have to be released early. University professors at UAH say it's a dream come true. On Wednesday, the university entered into contract with the Army Strategic Defense Command that will invest $9.4 million into the research project. The arsenal donated a site for construction of this 1,100-foot-long building. It will contain a high-velocity air chamber that will test models of warheads and spacecrafts. After its completion in 1991, 20 researchers will run the project, and students will be able to perform their internships. On Thursday, Huntsville police officers began foot patrol at Butler Terrace housing complex. The officers are patrolling the high-crime neighborhood not only to make arrests, but to meet the residents, letting them know they are there to help them. Residents are already commending the efforts. If the pilot program goes well, foot patrols may extend into other Huntsville neighborhoods. On Friday, a drug bust netted over 4 pounds of cocaine. Police raided a house on Longwood Drive, arresting this man for possession and trafficking cocaine. They also seized several handguns and over $5,000 in cash. Investigators say the bust followed 6 months of investigation. Although only one arrest was made, lawmen expect many more to follow thanks to evidence found in this case. The cocaine had a street value of $90,000.
In other local news, the south wing floor at Huntsville's Humana Hospital is out of service until the area can be cleaned up after fire broke out this morning. 18 patients were evacuated around 6 o'clock this morning when the fire was discovered. Hospital officials believe the fire started from a patient smoking in bed. The south wing suffered smoke damage, but fortunately no one was seriously injured.
We're very fortunate in that the damages were pretty much limited to room 442 where the incident occurred. The bed was destroyed, but there is smoke damage to some of the surrounding corridors and patient rooms. Our guess is that the damage will run approximately $10,000.
Hospital officials say it would only take about 3 days to have things back to normal. Well, you know, weekends are made for a lot of things. One of those is music. And right after this break, musicians of all kinds who gathered in Huntsville today. Members of the Huntsville Association of Folk Musicians held their Fall Folk Music Festival today. And even though the cool weather kept attendance low, News 48's Gil Newton tells us spirits were very high.
The Huntsville Association of Folk Musicians has been inactive since 1982, but due to a recent growing interest in traditional folk music, they've decided to reform the nonprofit organization for the purpose of preserving and perpetuating all forms of traditional music.
Today we have a concert by our members. We have each member will do all 3 to 5 minutes of singing, dancing, picking, whatever he wants to do. And we have a wide variety. We have dulcimers, we have auto harps, we have some singing going on, we have a couple old-time string bands. One of the things that we feel very proud of is the fact that we help along people who are just beginning. We have a lot of folks in our organization that started back several years ago that couldn't play an instrument. And they came out and brought their instrument along, and we tuned it up for them and helped them along.
Well, I don't know about you, but this just wouldn't be no old-time music festival without a rendition of that old country classic, Wildwood Flyer. Hit it, boys.
Gil Newton, WAFF 48 News.
Yeah, I was the one.
The group presently has about 35 members and says they've got plenty of room for more. Up next in sports, Jeff Rhodes has all the highlights and scores from Week 3 of the NFL season, and the plays of the week are ready and waiting. Stay tuned. Gil just entertained us with some guitar music. I'm wondering if the NFL can top that today with its excitement.
Believe me, it's hard to top Gil on the guitar, but we'll try to. You know, some great matchups today. Niners, Eagles, the Bills playing the Oilers, and a shocker, Pittsburgh Steelers won. Upsets, dramatic come-from-behind victories, and overtime heroics would dominate Week 3 of the NFL season. The Astrodome in Houston would be the site of the best game of the day as the Oilers squared off against the Bills. This one would take 4 quarters, an overtime period, and 88 points before a winner would be decided. Let's go to the action, pick this one up. The Oilers had one thing on their mind today: win at any cost. Fourth quarter, Warren Moon to Ernest Gibbons. He spins and heads to the end zone, and watch this. Up and over all the way on his feet. Touchdown Oilers, 38-34 late in the fourth quarter. It's not over, though. Jim Kelly finds wide open Thurman Thomas on the sideline. Thurman says, nobody's around. I'm going to score. 41-38 Bills. But hold on, the Oilers come back. Tony Zendejas connects on a 52-yard field goal with 8 seconds left. We're tied at 41. We go to overtime. The Bills wide receiver Andre Reed, the hero in overtime. Watch the move he makes there, heads to the sideline, and he scores, and that wins the game. Final score, 47-41. The Bills beat the Oilers. Elsewhere in the NFL today, Bears all over the lines. Mike Tomczak 302 yards through the air. Colts over the Falcons. Falcons fall to 1-3. And yes, this score is right. Steelers win. They couldn't buy a win 2 weeks ago, and last week. Today they beat the Vikings, a tough team, 27-14. Former Georgia Bulldog Tim Worley, he was fumbling crazy last week. Today he makes up for it. He scores on this 8-yard run. He had 52 yards on the day, 14-7 Steelers. After that, the Steelers defense would take control. Mean Joe Green looks on. Steelers sack the Viking quarterbacks 5 times on the day. Gerald Williams with that sack. Steelers upset the Vikings 27-14, the final. Elsewhere on Week 3 of the NFL, Buccaneers upset the Saints 20-10. Vinny Testaverde, 227 yards and a touchdown. The Giants all over the Cardinals 35-7. Seahawks win for the first time 24-3 over the Patriots. And 49ers and Eagles play. This is a great game. 49ers win by 10. The 49ers had a giant headache today, and the man giving it to him was this guy, Randall Cunningham. Here he drops back. He floats one to Jimmy Giles with the touch, and he makes the catch. 8 minutes to go, 28-17, Eagles in control. But Joe Montana says, hold on, we're not going to give up. Montana hits a wide open Tom Rathman, 28-24, Philadelphia. Montana goes to work again. This time he lost to Fred Jones. 31-28, Niners out in front. 49ers come from behind, take it 38-28, your final. Elsewhere in Week 3, the Redskins over the Cowboys. Troy Aikman sacked 4 times today. The Rams squeak past the Packers 41-38. Chargers and Jim McMahon, they win today for the first time 21-6 over the Chiefs. Dolphins losing a close one to the Jets 40-33. And the Broncos lose by 10 to the Raiders 31-21, the final in that one. Well, the San Francisco Giants are a step closer toward clinching the National League West. The Giants manhandling the Houston Astros this afternoon 10-2, eliminating the Astros from the championship contention and dropping their magic number to 2 in the process. Got some highlights of this one. Pick it up. Great catch in this one. Pat Sheridan comes up and robs Gerald Young of a hit. San Francisco's offensive punch, you guessed it, comes from the bat of Kevin Mitchell. Here in the fourth, he takes Jim Clancy deep. His 47th homer of the year. Robbie Thompson steps up a little later in the 5th, adds insult to injury with this 3-run homer. The Giants all over the Astros 10-2. The Giants' magic number for clinching the West now is only 2. Elsewhere in the National League, Padres win, but it didn't help them as the Giants won. Cardinals over the Phillies 2-1. But guess what? The Cubs kept up with them 4-2. Cubs look like they're headed toward a division championship. Cubs' Dwight Smith continues his hitting streak in the first. He singles to left. That's his 7th consecutive hit. 1-0. Chicago Cubs are out in front. Move now to the second. Catcher Joe Girardi. Joe's up and Joe delivers a rope to right center. Domingo Ramos is going to score. Cubs win it 4-2. Their magic number is now only 3. Let's go now to the American League. The A's win today. A's dropped their magic number to 2 as the Angels lost 5-4 to the Indians. Brewers over the Blue Jays 8-3. Toronto still leads in that division though by 1 game as the Orioles lose to the Yankees 2-0. Well, if you asked Darrell Waltrip what his favorite track in the NASCAR circuit was, he just might say Goody's 500, Martinsville, Virginia. Today, he won for the third consecutive time on the half-mile oval. That marks his 6th victory of the season, his 79th of his career. Waltrip won the race today on a caution flag after his brother Michael spun out on lap 498. Harry Gant was second, followed by Dick Trickle, Rusty Wallace, and Darrell Jarrett. Waltrip's average speed today, 76.571 miles per hour. His winner's check, 55,000 plus. From the hot tracks of NASCAR, we move to the cold floor of the Civic Center. That's where the Charger hockey team held its annual blue and white hockey game tonight. Got some highlights over there. Doug Ross getting excited about the season as he yells at his players. And so was Jim Goonan. This guy's red hot tonight. Slaps one right past the blue team's goalie. 1-0. White squad out in front. Here comes Goonan again. Same place, same results. Right past the guy. It's 2-0 at this point. White team out in front. They go on to win tonight. The final score 8-5. Chargers' first game is October the 19th. Their first home game, November the 3rd. Well, don't go away. Coming up next, you guessed it, those plays of the week. You like the unusual, the strange, the bizarre in sports? Well, if you do, you're in the right place at the right time. Yes, it's Sunday night here on Channel 48, and that means only one thing. Sit back and enjoy the plays of the week. How tough is it to get a foul ball these days? Well, check out this horse race for this one. They're down the stretch, and guess who wins? This guy by a head and a leg. Move now to the week's best catches. Doug DeCenso of the Cubs makes the ground. Chicago's Jerome Walton with the snag. Not to be outdone, Andy Van Slyke of the Pirates. How about Tommy Gregg of the Braves? Watch this guy. And Brett Butler will not be outdone. Makes the ground. And last but not least, Dickie Thon with the catch. The hardest hits in football, Mike Carrier on Ron Moore of Utah State. Lazy Mount. But that's not the hardest hit. It belongs to Dwight Wiggins of Michigan State. He will nail Tony Johnson right there. It was a week of violence in sports. Yes, even fisticuffs in box lacrosse. Confusion everywhere. Even in boxing, this guy's headed to his corner, but he misses it by about 6 feet. And speaking of boxing, in England, the motto is if you can't win, call your mom into the ring. Tony Wilson had just been knocked to the canvas. His mom jumps into the ring with a shoe in her hand, goes after his opponent. And it worked. His opponent left the ring, and Mr. Wilson was won by default. Yes, in England, mother knows best. She takes over. Check her out. Just don't mess with a woman with a shoe in her hand.
I don't know who the guy was more afraid of, the mother or the boxer.
The mother.
We'll be right back with a wake-up weather forecast and some cold weather music. We'll be right back. Larry has some wake-up weather for us. Yeah. What's it looking like tomorrow morning?
Well, tomorrow morning when you get up, it's going to be some cloudy skies, and then during the day tomorrow, you're going to have some periods of off and on rain, but the temperatures will be in the mid-60s. Take a look at tomorrow map. A lot of clouds and moisture coming up out of the Gulf, but unfortunately, it's going to remain with us for the next couple of days, so it's not going to be a good beginning of the week, but that's what you can expect in Tennessee Valley.
Thanks very much. And we leave you tonight with some sights and sounds from some folks who enjoyed some music over the weekend in Madison, picnicking and picking at Roundhouse Park. Good night, everyone.